polling units have not been able to get their the materials. And even I heard around 11 o'clock that perhaps the police officers that were to follow these INEC officials to different or designated polling units were not available, and there's nobody can move from the INEC center to those units without security. So they started waiting for the police for hours. That shows that INEC is yet to get to where they're supposed to be. And take for instance, we are not doing general election. This election is only limited to Edo State today. I don't see any reason why INEC should not be up in their games. What does it take them to do the necessary logistics? Assign people to do it. Getting the officers in charge, getting materials to the different polling units. People are now shouting, despite the rain. I really commend the people of Edo State. Despite the early shower, they were all available at the polling units, waiting for the officials. And you think that really portray seriousness from the side of the INEC. And don't forget, we only have one umpire for this election, and that's INEC. When they are failed, or they are trying to fail in their responsibility, what do they think Nigerian people will say about them?
Well, I think this situation happened in some of the polling units.
Not so many. I stand to be corrected. We have observers everywhere, and they are giving us feedback that this is what we are saying, and it's not too good for Nigeria as a nation. Not talk of Edo State, and everything still go back to.
Let's talk a little about INEC just for a moment. You seem to be very uncomfortable with the runnings of INEC.
The early activities was not
but at some point, do you think Nigeria had tend to build this trust in INEC once again? Because I remember some time ago you did mention we tend to lose trust in the system at some point. Do you think with what is going on lately, trust is being built?
It's like confirming what we have said many times, many years back. They are just trying to confirm it that they are yet ready to be at the top of their game.
Yet ready.
Yet ready. Like I said, that because for the fact that they can delay for over 2 hours showed that they are not ready for that.
You didn't mention the factor, the early shower, so that could be something too.
Despite the early showers, these electorates, the voters are already waiting because they have the enthusiasm to vote. But those people that are supposed to conduct it were not there, yet they have to wait. They used to blame. Is it the voters or the umpires or the people in charge? So as I said, I want to implore INEC officials, particularly at Edo State, so that in the next 2 months there will be another election in Edo State. There should not be a repeat. That's all.
Well, aside that, sorry to cut you, Ezekiel, but aside the issue of INEC officials and personnel not being at their polling units at the particular point in time when they ought to, what other areas do you think you observed changes in this election?
Except security, because there are allegations and counter-allegations. And we'll be making unnecessary arrest. I even heard the PDP candidate saying it, that there was a particular supporter of him that was arrested at the point of vote. He wanted to vote and they arrested him. And I noticed one thing again today. What happened in those is against the constitution of Nigeria. I saw some policemen carrying guns. It is illegal for you to take guns to the polling units. If what government said or the constitution said was to be believed, there's nothing gun was to be used for. When responsible Nigerian citizens want to go and assert their rights, the next thing you could be saying is gone. Another thing I noticed when I was watching a particular unit too, there was a woman, hale and heady, in his perhaps less than 50 years of age. Someone escorting her to vote. I don't know why. She's not blind, she's not aged, she's not handicapped. I don't know why someone should escort or follow her to where she's supposed to vote. These are the things that could be seen on TV. I just observed it and I kept quiet.
But what was your point particularly about
that? The point is you just allow the person to go and vote without any influence. I want to assume that particular man that followed her was to influence by my submission. I stand to be corrected anyway. And for the officer to be carrying guns, he's not the only one. Where I saw 2 officers with guns at the polling unit. What for? It is against the tradition, the principles, the constitutional provisions of Nigeria as of today. We don't carry guns. I have experienced votings in the last 3, 4, 5 occasions. I mean general elections. I have never seen any officer carrying gun. Even as at last election, in those states, nowhere gun was carried. There could be exceptional cases. That means when you call them for special attention, they can mobilize and come with something of such. But for someone to go and secure your vote, to carry gun, what for? I don't.
Well, we'll come into insecurity later. I mean, it's one thing I'm talking about real good, those shelters are. But quickly, what's your take on to Edo State zoning principle? I know it's not quite written, but do you think it tends to put the Labour Party candidate Olumide Akpata at a disadvantage? Understanding many believe it's time for the Eson people to be elected as governor. So, understanding the fact that a Labour Party candidate is from the Edo South Senatorial District, do you think this particular thing or challenge them to put him at a disadvantage?
To an extent, I may say yes. Okay. But at the same time, you have to observe that in Edo State as of today, the Labour Party has significant followers and they want change. Perhaps due to the circumstances we find ourselves in Nigeria today and Edo State, they may be looking for an opportunity to create the change and give Akpata the advantage if they so desire. Nobody can speak for citizens. It is their vote that will determine that. And we can only say this after the election has been concluded and casted, counted. Then we can know maybe a reasonable number of Edo people want the change they think they can see in Akpata, or they decide to go
So you truly believe Edo people could actually look away from the zoning principle and then just let Akpata as the governor? You think it will count?
There's nothing impossible. It has happened in the past and it can still happen.
Well, it's quite debatable, but I don't know what's your take.
Well, regarding zoning, I think it has been a particular issue on this election. It has been clamors. There have been clamors for change as to the hands-on leadership. However, well, what do you think of the fact that it is not just about the area of which the person is coming out from that should matter, but the individual who is involved? And some are looking around these kind of laws that have been put in place, or principles rather, that have been put in place to guide some of these activities. What is your thought so far? I
am saying exactly what I've said before. We call this conventional agreement. It happens in so many states that when a senatorial district has produced governor, it will, after a certain period, either 4 or 8 years, it must move to another end. This time around, Akpata has come from a disadvantage angle. Okay. No doubt about that. But let us now allow Edo people to decide whether they love Akpata or not. Don't forget, the Senate is the region. Let me use Ondo State as a case study in the last election, governorship election. Every region voted for their kids. Only the little they were able to gather from other region gave the winner the advantage. It can happen. If the South said, okay, though our child is not too conventionally acceptable, but let's give it to him. And perhaps this guy can do his own work and get some from other districts, plus what he's going to get from home, he may get it. So the issue of a conventional is limited to the politicians, not citizens, not the people of Edo State. Edo State people can decide who to vote for. If you are good and they notice that you are good, then your enemies will vote for you because they know what they will benefit from that. It has happened, I have said it, but in Edo State it is happening for the first time. That's the difference. But it can happen anytime. And if it happens, the winner will take it. So I'm not ruling Akpata out because he has done his own work and he believed that his own work will work. So if it works, good for him. If it didn't work, best of luck.
So let's talk a bit about the Peter Obi factor. Do you think that would actually work to his favor too? People tend to believe in Peter Obi and his presidential ambition. Do you think that would actually play out at some point?
And with the fact that he, coming out, he said that's a candidate of Labour Party. He came out to say that the reason why he chose this party is because it is people-oriented.
I have said it before too, that the party of today, this Labour Party, they have numbers now. It is not limited to the South alone, neither to the Eastern or the other one. They cut across. And from their activities in the last general election, you will agree with me that they have the numbers. And this number may play out because it depends on how they see it. And don't forget, today, in Nigerian context, people don't vote for party again. They vote for individuals. If they see what they want in him, they will give it to him. But I don't see that happen.
Anyways, bringing it down to the electioneering process, we've seen over time how elections turn out, from INEC preparation to the point where people go to the polling unit to vote, and then after then collation before results are being called out. However, what do you think this particular election holds for the people of Edo State? Because when you look at this scenario today, you discover that there have been, I'll call it peaceful to an extent. We haven't had record of major issues like violence or loss of lives or injuries, things like that. So what do you think this particular election holds differently for the people of Edo State?
Thank you very much. I want to see it from two different angles. I want to see the violent aspect of it and the peaceful aspect of it. I heard of recent, perhaps this week, when one of the candidates of the party said this election will be do or die. This is everywhere. When he said so, what is do or die in this election? Why can't you live and let others live? What stops you? Why should you want to make it do or die? And don't forget, some of us have the view that today there is a kind of theory we are thinking it may likely happen, that very soon, if care is not taken, Nigeria will become a one-party system. And that is why, if you see the way the games are going, it shows that some people are trying to ensure it works. That in the next 4-8 years, quote me, 4 or 8 years, Nigeria may turn to one-party system. That is because a party is taking edge above others in all elections. Thank God that some people were able to wrestle and got something in the last election. But Nigeria as a nation may not find it lucky in the next election.
So
if these our permutations work, we may not find it so lucky in the next election. And let me just tell you why. Because the power that be today is doing everything humanly possible to ensure they retain power forever. And don't forget, power is transient. But in this context we are looking at, in the next 20 years, Nigeria will remain a one-party country. If our permutation works, quote me. But if it didn't work, and how would it work? If all of us, because if Nigeria becomes a one-party system, it will not be good for Nigeria. Quote me, it will not be good for us, because we will not get what we want. But if there are some opposition groups that can fight it with all what God has given to them, to ensure they balance it, that they get some, let the ruling party get some, and they too get some, a time will come, we will be able to balance it. But if it consider this, I'm afraid. And that's why I'm saying this. Why I'm saying this today, the bone of the contention in this Edo election is limited to 3 parties: APC, PDP, the ruling party of Edo State, and Labour Party. If Labour Party and PDP can come together, I want to assume that we will likely have an edge. But the way APC is winning souls to the party on a daily basis, they may have edge because the two will share their votes. PDP and Labour Party may likely share their votes, and APC will hold their votes. If they can steal some from the two, it will be advantageous to them. But if the ruling party can hold firm that we are truly the ruling party, they can still get it back. And if Labour Party can wrestle, on the other word, wrestle very well, it may be their turn. But as of today, nobody can say anything until after the counting of the election.
You know, you did mention security personnel handling firearms. Now, you know, we can't talk about elections in Nigeria without portraying or emphasizing security and rule of law enforcement agents. Now, considering the trends, you know, of violence and court-related clashes in Edo State, and not forgetting the attack on a convoy of Philip Shaibu, Edo's embattled deputy governor. Now, don't you think with these indices in place, there is a need for security personnel to be very conscious and really not take things for granted?
And therefore, they should take guns to every polling unit.
That's what I'm saying, but
I'm just asking you. Maybe that has given them the audacity to take guns to every polling unit in Edo State, even the villages. Right? There should be no. Every time there's election, there are some areas that will be so tense and difficult. If those things are applied in those areas, even bringing in soldiers could be an additional advantage. That is the identified difficult terrains. Not everywhere.
So just uniform and nothing else? Is that what you're saying?
The uniform and even this stick and other things is okay. It's just to scare people. But coming with guns, that means they are coming to kill when they are trying to exercise their right. Don't forget, election not only come in Nigeria, it comes in every nation of this world, particularly where democracy is being operated.
So you think the best way they would have handled the issue of insecurity in Edo State was just to bring in uniformed men with probably sticks and...
Probably sticks, if at all, that's if there has been need for such. Don't forget, the security men are human beings. Those who want to attack are also human beings. It's only the scrupulous element among them that want to deal with limited one of them, very, very limited. And don't forget, there could never be violence in every unit in Edo State. I stand to be corrected. It may not happen. But the difficult terrains you have identified, go to the such places, monitor them, and ensure you do the needful. How do you do it? Mere seeing the uniform is a scary moment for the hoodlums. But coming with guns, even the innocents will be scared. Gun, I can't go there. The stray boy can come and hit me. So that will lead to what we call election. What do you call it? Or sometimes when the election is not too encouraging, so that thing will likely happen because people will be scared to go to the polling units and exercise their responsibilities as citizens.
Well, I guess we tend to see things very differently, because some citizens will actually see those personnel with firearms and believe, I guess we're safe at this point. You know, imagine coming to a place and then there's this a skepticism of encountering certain thugs or unpleasant circumstances, and then you're seeing your security personnel handling just a stick. I don't know if people actually, it's debatable, people see that differently. And
let me just tell you, don't forget that a few months ago we had a end to bad governance. Edo State was not left behind with the attacks of some individuals. It may still be in their mentality that anybody could be attacked. That is where they should stay away with anything that brings ammunition. Bringing weapons to polling units is not encouraging in anywhere in the world. Even in some underdeveloped countries, less than Nigeria. It's never happened. So we need to discourage ourselves from doing such.
All right, I guess we'll have to go for a break now. Then we will be joining our correspondent, and this is where we will be going for the break. When we're back, we'll be talking with some of our correspondents who are on the field to give us feedback. So do stay tuned. Decides 2024, and right now we've been joined by one of our correspondents who has been on the field to give us feedback as to what has been happening so far. We've been joined right now by Afolashayo Hamzat. Afolashayo, how are you doing?
Okay. I'm fine.
So how has it been since morning? Tell us about how the electioneering process went through so far.
Okay, this morning as at about 6 a.m., the military personnel were outside already and making sure everything is going smooth. Where I was Ward 6, or let me say where I am even till now is Ward 6. Already local government is at 28 units. And the political elite that voted at my ward was Odumide Abada, the candidate of Labour Party. The INEC officials came in at about 4 minutes past 8 a.m. and accreditation started at about 8:30 a.m. and the BVAT worked perfectly and everything went smooth.
Well, interesting. So far, what would you say about the population of people who came out to vote? I mean, give us a statistics, rough statistics of probably the youth. How do you estimate the percentage of youth who came out to vote, as well as the older persons?
Okay, the overall turnout of people who came out to vote is not so high. Because everybody has the reason why they are not out to vote. But then, let me say, I would rate 50% of those who came out to vote at my ward. And out of the 50%, let me say 45% of the 50% is youth, while the remaining percent is to the old ones.
Okay, you're saying the older ones came out more?
The older ones who came out are not as much as youth came.
Oh, interesting. All right, then talking about the security, has there been
even with the fact that it rained, like it was forecasted that it's going to rain for at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
Even though it rained, people were still outside. People said they have to vote before they will leave. So you can see people with their umbrellas. You can see them under the canopies, staying in back just for them to cast their vote before they leave. And even after voting, they still stayed back to monitor their vote.
Were there security issues? Were there security threats so far?
Not at all. Even though we have a whole lot of security personnel on ground, so there was no issue whatsoever.
Well, there were rumors that they were vote buying. Is this true? Did it happen in your ward?
It didn't happen in my ward, even though it was alleged that it happened. And the PRO actually confirmed it, but in my ward, such didn't happen.
All right, interesting. We'll get back to you for more feedback. Thank you for joining us. Well, that was Afolashayo Hamzat, and we just got her feedback from Ward 6. And right now we'll be going on for another short break where we'll get back. We'll be talking to a second correspondent to understand what is going on another ward. Thank you for staying tuned. This is still Edo Decides 2024 from Ondo Studios. Right now we've been joined again by our second correspondent who is on the field, Yetunde Alanomo. Thank you for joining us, Yetunde.
Thank you for having me.
Well, how has it been going so far? Since morning, has there been any hurdle at your ward? Tell us about it.
Okay, I was first at Ward 12, which is Agbado Primary School, where there was 10 polling units, from polling unit 21 to polling unit 30. And also, INEC materials arrived the polling units before 7:30, which is a kudos to INEC officials on that. Also, Chairman Partner for Electoral Reform, Ezenwa Mwagu, made mention of the fact that weatherman had already predicted 2 hours rain in Edo, and it has been raining since then, though the rain has stopped for now. But then, first people were worried, people were worried about the fact that the rain will stop the election or it will affect the election. But then, I thought people did not stop coming to vote.
Oh, interesting. But has there been any security threat so far at your ward?
At my ward, there has not been any security threat. But then security personnel has been doing wonderfully well in their duties. Also, first PRO Muyiwa Adejobi confirmed some citizens with ammunition has been arrested. They are presently in their custody.
Okay, all right. Then interesting. However, tell us more about the population that turned out. Tell us about the population of the youth and as well as the older persons.
Okay, if I said I should judge according to the percentage of collected permanent voter card, which is 85.57% out of over 4 million population, the two wards that I've been to today, with each of them are 10 polling units, which is Ward 12 and Ward 4, wasn't as expected.
All right then, interesting.
And talking about the youth turnout, was impressive. Other people turn out too, but not as much as the youth.
Okay, all right then. Thank you for your feedback. We'll call you for more feedback.
You're welcome.
Well, we've heard it from our correspondents. And this is what is happening in Edo State. So far, there have not been so much fearful threat of life or anything of that sort. However, they've been able to capture someone, a thug, with back here as a word too, according to her. So far, what's your own take as to everything that has been going on so far?
Thank you very much. Based on what I heard from her, I want to say a well done job to the INEC in that area. At least ensuring that the materials go to the place before 7 o'clock. That's a very good one. And that the hoodlums, or perhaps one was arrested, and already in the custody. It's another good result. And I want to assume, despite the rain, these people still came out in numbers to exercise their rights. I want to say kudos to the particular units or wards mentioned. I give it to them.
Well, from what she has, both of them have said so far, they give a high percentage to the turnout of youth in Edo State. Do you think this probably implies that youth now would more likely have hope, considering our electioneering process in Nigeria?
As to an extent, I want to say no. Because until after this election, and I'm able to do my statistics, then I can see whether we have done well or not. But as at last election we held in Nigeria, we have about 90 million youths put together by ages. Do you know that less than 40% of them came out to vote in the election in Nigeria? That showed that we are far from where we are going to. And if today they said the youths are coming out in their numbers, until we see the numbers, perhaps it's below average or above average. At every time, we all know that youths are always the more numbers that we always have that are voting, and that we are not denying such. But out of, let us assume we are expecting 100 youths to come out and vote, 40 of them came. So what happened to the remaining 60? Shall we agree that because 40 had come out of 100, they have done well? The answer is no. And I want to assume that is likely to be what happened here. But until we begin to see the larger number of our youths coming out in their numbers to exercise their rights, then Nigeria will be better for it. But so far so good. From what she said, I want to give it to the youth that have come out. and they should plead to their contemporaries to always do the same. That's what I can say for now.
It's really impressive, and I must say kudos to the youth of Edo State. I think that making Nigeria proud at this time. But just away from that, just quickly, now, many tend to believe these elections is not more about the candidate, but is a fight between Oshomole and Governor Obaseki, more like a master-student contest. Do you share in that sentiment?
100% yes. I want to share that sentiment.
Okay. Please go on.
If what I have with me here is to be correct, and from the election from Obaseki unit, and maybe at the unit 19 to be precise, with the result I have here, if it is going to be correct, PDP has 127 votes, APC had 35, Labour Party had 11. You see that from this particular, if we are going to use this as a mayor, the winner has emerged. So we know that there's going to be tussle. Oshomole had been a governor in that state before, but today Obaseki is the governor that will likely leave in another 2 or 3 months for new, and certainly there's going to be a tussle, and this is the tussle we are said. Everybody want to get hold of his own constituency and trying to get higher numbers to outweigh the other, and this is what is coming to play. And we still need to give to APC. Despite is in the area of Obaseki, they still able to get 35. In the past, it's only always like 1 or 2, not even 0. But for them to have gotten 35 votes, when Obaseki himself is just holding 127 votes, showed that Obaseki still needs to do more, perhaps in other areas. So this is a nice contest among the contestants. It's a very nice contest, and that means if we get that of Apata, certainly it's going to emerge there too, and we now need to look at the proportion of. Then when we go to the APC stronghold too, we look at the proportion. So that means they will likely to be picking some, but the higher number of votes will always belong to the person that has that particular stronghold, and this is exactly what to play out here. So I give it to them.
I think if we want to talk about stronghold, that power could be shared, because I think APC has the power of federal incumbency, working for them. And to some extent, I think, don't you think a PDP would be in a disadvantage when it comes to power tussle and say, because we know Oshomole is a good politician. Let's not forget that fact. And also, maybe the little rift between Obaseki and the Oba of Benin could play a role to the disadvantage of PDP, because more like at this point, like you said, if it's going to be Obaseki versus Oshomole, then very likely AI is definitely going to inherit some of Obaseki's enemy.
Sure.
So don't you think with all this is going to really be in a disadvantage for PDP?
By illustration, let me just use this.
Please.
Let us assume this is a house for all of us. As the head of the family, I'm taking care of the house. If there will be any pain that we go against me, knowing for the fact that I'm the one feeling the family wants to ensure that the house is protected. That is what is happening in every stronghold that any party belongs to. Take for instance, where Oshomole could be seen as the leader. There's nothing anybody can do about that. He will always have his edge. And that is why only minute number will always come from the opposition. Sometimes it is always infinitesimal, like we have here. Then, number 2, the issue of Obaseki and the Oba of Benin. And perhaps people want to support their king, because governor will come and go. The king will remain forever until he dies. So the advantage of the Oba and the respect they have for him will likely play another advantage. But for a governor that knows what he's doing, will know how to meander and get what he wants. Because today they used to say, you use what you have to get what you want. So that may likely come to play. And again, like the federal might you mentioned the other time,
the federal incumbency, yes,
play a significant role when they are popular on the line. I remember.
I think they are popular. I mean, it's APC.
Yes, they are popular. When you are popular, you cannot be popular everywhere in the state. You have your own area. Take for instance now, in the last about 10, 12 years ago, I heard from one of my governor then, and one of the senior citizens of Nigeria today, said, after God's power, it is political power. And I still believe in it today. And again, there is no way you can do it. If you have a stronghold, it will be difficult for any outsider to come and overcome you in that particular place. And the federal government you are talking about will not work in everywhere in the state. It will only work in some limited areas, because you cannot compare what you have gotten from A to what you have gotten from B. And in fairness, Nigeria of today will agree with me that the federal government have not been friendly with Nigerians, and that may also play a part. So when you say the federal might being an APC, the ruling party in Nigeria, let us now look at what they have done for Nigerians. Does that commiserate? If the answer is no, then there's need for every Nigerian to think as he wants. So put all this together, it's going to be survival of the government will be, the state might be, and at the end of the day, the most hard-working among the players will have the day. But I don't see it outside PDP as of it.
Wow.
Anyways, we have some updates. I mean, right now the counting has begun.
Good.
Now, vote counting is ongoing at Ward 4, polling unit 22, Red Day local government, and void issues at Ward 4, polling unit 23, and void issues as well at polling unit 21, Ward 4, and Ward 3, where Obaseki actually casted his vote, unit 19. PDP came out 127, APC came out 35, and Labour Party 11. What do you think of these numbers?
I think I've said this today, and I want to repeat. There's tendency that the results may go in that direction. And I just wish Edo people allow themselves to decide what they want, not by manipulation or influence. And it has been happening, except on rare occasions. The party in power loses to this other party. Very rare. We can count the percentage. Whether you are in opposition or not, it has always been difficult for you to lose where it is your terrain. And this may likely come to play in Edo because of the, I want to call it wahala. This trouble in Edo State in the last 2 months showed that there are crises. Don't forget, Shuaibu and the boss has issues, and they have their followers, and wherever they want them to go, they will go. As in, wherever the leader wants their followers to go, so this be it. So Shuaibu's issue will be there. Obaseki supremacy will be there. Obas of Benin issue is there. APC as a party in power court at the federal level is there. And they want to resolve everything possible to ensure they get Edo State this time around. It has not been easy for them in the past rather. So they want to ensure they get it this time around. So put all this together, there are so many pressures in that particular state. But I think I will tell you, the winner will always emerge. And who will win, the voters will decide.
You earlier made mention of manipulations and influence in our electionary process.
A problem.
It has always been a problem, but at this moment it is believed that INEC at this particular election is supposed to make a change and probably show that they can handle the situation right. However, do you think that there is an end to all this manipulation and influence when it comes to our electioneering process in Nigeria?
If it will come, not now. I will just tell you why. Of recent, they are using a particular theory to rule Nigeria and some states, even not all states in Nigeria, whereby hunger has been weaponized to deal with citizens. When you are hungry, you go for whatever you see. And that is why money investment in election period is inevitable as of now. It's just like Joseph Salif said, that when you just remove the body, I mean the feathers of birds, and you allow it to go hunger, as you are giving that the bird, what do you call it, meals, wherever you go, such bird will follow you. Not that it wishes to, the bird wishes to, but because of the hunger. That is the case in Nigeria of today. Nigerians are hungry. So at the slightest, cheapest investment, they go for it. So it has even become worse that they go for the highest bidder now. Some will be sharing 5,000, some will be sharing 10,000. They go for the highest bidder. And don't forget, they use the same money that was supposed to be given to these citizens to pay them for that period alone. And after that, it will take them for another 4 years before they get something of such again. So as it is being done at the federal level, so also in the state level. And it's not going to stop until something that will make it to stop happen. And I don't want to say that for now. But the truth of the matter is that same money investment in the during election period will be over, not now. I said.
So when do you project it will be over?
Maybe when Nigerians are wise. But when are we going to be wise? Only God knows.
Well, let's talk about trends that tend to roll themselves in our political system here in Nigeria. There's this current trend of political systems where major candidates tend to shun debate, and this actually thing, I tend to ask what it speaks for our democracy and for political commitment and transparency. You know, it's quite alarming where people just tend to just shun debate, and you know, this should actually be more like a point where voters will tend to evaluate their candidates as it should, but we tend to really shun it, forget it, neglect it, and people tend to speak less about it. What's your take on this and how it tends to affect our political system as well as our democracy?
You just confirmed what I just said. Why won't you shun debate when you know that it's not going to be a factor that will determine your fate? They will certainly reject it because it is not what will make them what they want to be. Debate is for the elites, not the woman in the village, not the woman in the hamlet, not to the average Nigerians, but to the elites who knows what is good and what is bad, and what are the numbers of the elites that always vote. And it will amaze you if I tell you that from our statistics, the early elites don't go to vote. We always have less than 15% of elites going out to vote from our research and our work.
If I get you, are you trying to say political debate in Nigeria is irrelevant, or
as of today is irrelevant? That's the simplest language. As of today is irrelevant, and that's why you see many of them shunning it, because they know it is what you have that will give you the votes, that will give you what you want. Your affluence in the society, your influence on the voters, the number of cash you can afford, not the discussion that will tell the world, that will tell your people what you have in stock for them. As a matter of fact, those people, they don't even need it. They don't want it. They need what do you have. They go for, like I said the other time, that today election is about highest bidder, not higher. It goes for the highest bidder. I was wondering the other time when the correspondent was talking that there was not much or no inducement in the area. I laughed. If you see the real players, they will tell you how much they have gotten. It happens everywhere today. Not only in Edo State, not in Edo State, not in Lagos State. It happens across Nigeria now. We can say it. We have seen it.
You know, it's quite funny because at the start of this show, you did mention the fact where you said persons like Olumide Akpata do have a chance, because you said people will look away from zoning and go for competence itself. And at this point, you're saying maybe competence doesn't matter anymore. Let's just throw competence off the window. Whatever you bring to my hands would determine if you would win. Is that what you're saying? I mean, the change of concept is quite
not
certain.
Let me just tell you now, like the Akpata you mentioned, Olumide Akpata.
Yes.
Let us assume is a very loved candidate in Edo State. If he fails to induce, I can assure you he will fail. Though we have a peculiar case in Edo State. I even had a video in the last election. The woman was begged to collect 5,000. She didn't collect. Everything on her was used to beg her. She didn't collect. But she's just one out of 1,000. Others collected. And I remembered it after the governor emerged and he won. The woman was invited through the video that was circulated around the social media, and the woman was compensated as a kind of lessons for others that can just be like her. But I can tell you, despite the fact that woman rejected it, we have the record and evidence that many more people collected it. And don't forget, there are two ways to it. Some will collect and still do what their conscience wants. Some will manipulate their conscience based on what they get.
Well, you're making it sound like the people of Edo have no mind of their own. Their mind will change if something turns.
I have said today.
Which is?
I said there was a particular woman. That shows we still have people like that in every society, including Edo State. If she had done it in the last 4 years, it can still be done this year. But maybe the number may even increase. Maybe because of what the woman did, some people want to take a clue from what she had done. Maybe the number can increase. But telling me that every party in Nigeria did not induce, we are deceiving ourselves, except we don't want to say the truth.
So are you trying to say that the people are the problem, not the government?
At some point.
Government creates the problem and people key into it. That's all. The problem the government created was that they don't make the society easy for the citizens. And because the citizens want to at least find a way to get over the mess, whatever that is given to them, either by the government or any other person will always be collected. And that will be used to influence their decision. Take for instance, as a today PDP is in power in Edo State, and we want to assume many people will be in the party. But if other party, quote and unquote, decide to get some of them, all he has to do is just come. How much is the government giving you? 10,000. I will give you 20,000. Don't forget. I can assure you, some people because of that 20,000 change their mind and vote for the money, not their candidate again. That is exactly what has been happening. We are on the field. The government cannot say they don't know what I'm saying. Even the Nigerian citizens cannot say they have not experienced it one way or the other. But we always find it difficult to say the truth when it is needed. And Bible tells me that when you say the truth, it shall set you free. And at the same time, if you are saying the truth, a time will come, the truth will prevail and ensure the change needed in our society. But assuming or pretending as if it's not real is what is damaging or creating problems for us in this country. Let us face the problem and trash it once and for all. Inducement, the money inducement during election is a problem. But guess what? In the last election, we had it. Do you know that nobody had been, arrested or prosecuted for money inducement during election? We have seen where soldiers in Ekiti State collected a whole bulk of money from individuals during election period. What happened to the money? What happened to those people that was distributing the money? Till today, nothing was done. In those times, I had an experience. When we were as an observer, I got a kind of a slip from one of them, and they said that maybe federal government intervention program, and they said you click the number that was there. When I clicked it, I saw 10,000 naira credited to my account during election. So does that mean there's not? I am saying it happened to me. And let me just tell you the truth. This is what is killing Nigeria gradually. Until we identify our problems and solve it amicably, we are going nowhere. Like I said before, we are yet to be wise in Nigeria. But one day, we shall be wise.
Well, we're running out of time and we need to hand over to Abuja. But before we do that, what's your take as to everything that has happened? How will you address everything to people who are watching right now? And what's your advice to them regarding elections in Nigeria? What should be their rules when it comes to playing your role as a citizen of Nigeria, trying to, let's say, play your rights? Put it apart, more like play your rights in the electioneering process of Nigeria.
Thank you very much.